Hi, I have in front of me an Edition XTEND HD modulator. It's a single DVB-T HDMI loop. It's got IR control and it's available for free delivery. So this is the outer box that comes in. So just to explain briefly, the idea of a HDMI modulator is take a HDMI input, turn it into a DVB signal and send it out as a DVB-T signal. So basically like a SareView or a FreeView signal that can be sent through a cable, sent to loads of little things. So the reason for doing that is, well, lots of devices only have digital terrestrial tuners on them, and also if we want to send an output to, say, 10 or 20 televisions, the only way of doing it is through a DVB-T or through a DVB-T signal, and you can use your old traditional RF amplifiers for running it around, so it can be quite beneficial. Now, Edition absolutely dominated the HDMI modulator market in Europe for years, but other people caught up. There's a few competitors that have quite good ones, and the two features that it was missing up to now, it's gotten this. The first thing is it has a loop on the HDMI, so it means that you can send a picture from this but also link into the local television. And the other thing is that it now easily supports IR, so you can actually send a HDMI or HD quality signal to the far location, but also when you get there you can send the signal back through your remote control to change the set-top box in the first location. So I'm going to go through exactly what you're going to get, and then I'm going to go through how we'd set it up. So this is the outer box. The user manual is here. It's quite good in a couple of languages, but primarily the first half it's in English. Okay. We have the power unit for it here as well. 3-pin plug by default, but it's 2-pin adapter as well. It snaps on quite nicely. This is an IR control that you use in conjunction with your receiver. I'm going to talk about that in a few moments. This is basically an add-on that's allowing you to control it. So if we look at the unit itself, there is a lot of modulators out there have complicated interfaces, bring them up with screens, connect PCs, all the rest of it. Not what people want to do. They just want to work it from the front of the screen. And I'm going to demonstrate this in action in a few moments' time. Okay. What I'll do on the back is we'll see that we have a HDMI in. So we run in from the set-top box into this, and then we run out for looping out to a local television. And then what we have in is we have an RF in and an RF out. So the RF in would be if you have daisy chains these, you have a whole stack of them on top of each other, you can do it that way. Or the other way it could be important here is that you actually have the SareView channels running directly in here, and you add this as a terrestrial output channel onto it, okay? So you have a USB stick here for programming them. If you're putting on a sort of a daisy chain software, something like that, some type of a file, or updating the software. And the other thing would be is that you have your power input here, okay? So on the final part of it here, which is the actual what you're going to be using on your far away television. Now, I'm just going to say in relation to the IR stuff, you don't need to use it unless you want to use a Sky Eye and a remote at the other point. But if you do want to use it, this will allow you to actually pick up a signal from the remote control on the television that might be 50 meters away, and you come back along and you can just change channels and it'll send a signal back to change channels on the box. So what I'm going to do at this point in time is I'm going to bring into focus here a satellite receiver, tiny little satellite receiver we send, and we have a HDMI output on it. And normally with this HDMI output what we do is we just run it to the local television. But in this case we're not going to do that. We're going to take the HDMI lead from here. I'm just going to bring it up here in my hand if I can find it. Very good. This is the HDMI lead. And what we're going to do is we're going to push it into the HDMI input at the back of this box. So this is so badly balanced, I'm just going to move this off the table, but it's still connected into the box here, okay? I'm going to bring it back up later in the video. And this is going into the HDMI input here. We're going to grab the power here, and we're going to power up this unit. So just step by step, think of what we're doing. We're taking the HDMI from this box, we're running it over here. It's doing nothing because there's no power on it. And now what it is it's after converting that HDMI into a DVB-T signal that can be sent through the RF output here. The problem, of course, is that we have no cable connecting this to the television. So I'm going to grab a cable that I've pre-terminated earlier. So it's got a coaxial on one end and an F-tap connector on this end. So again, RF out, shove it in here, and I've pre-tuned this television for it here. So this is actually one of the Christian channels. It's not copyrighted, so it makes it very easy for us to go and use it there. Now if I come along here I'm just going to come around to the front of the unit to do the next part of the demonstration, and hopefully I won't be blocking everybody's view while doing it, okay? Because the next and most important part now is, rather than the setup thing on it, we're just going to talk about the actual changing things. So, I described earlier that often there was complicated interfaces onto this, but if we come along here and I press the channel up and down button here, it's saying it's on channel 43. The channel 43 represents a certain frequency here, which I could bring up on the television here, and this is indeed how I tuned it in. But in your tuning menu, normally you can either enter megahertz or channels, and in the UHF band that's being used currently in Western Europe, it goes from channel 21 to 59, okay? So if I go up and down on the channel thing here, nothing happens, because it doesn't want people to walk over accidentally and change channels and knock out your picture. So what you actually have to do is you have to hit the menu button, say I want to tune channels, and if I go up here and I say menu again and I save it and say yes, its signal's gone, because now this is tuned into channel 43 and the output's coming on channel 44. So to fix that problem, I hit menu again, I hit down channel, and I go OK, menu, and yes, and I'll save it. And now it's after saving it back into memory here. So we can do things here like lock it and all the rest of it. Or what I can actually do here is I can just arrow across, and there's a whole series of things here to do with LCNs and things like that. So I can just go in here and we can see we have about 6 different settings in it there. They're not going to cover in this video here. If people have questions, we can probably go back and do extra ones there, but they probably won't need it there. And I can just say yes, just save it in there, okay? So that's that first part and the main parts of the menu covered. Now the next thing is the actual thing of, we want to be able to control it from the second location using an IR. How are we going to do it, okay? So the first thing is, well, how are we going to pick up the signal from the IR on the far end, okay? Well, if we look at this module thing here, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to get the cable that went directly into the television. We're going to run it in here. We're going to grab a power input for it. And the power input on this is going to be powered off a USB port. And luckily all televisions have USB ports now. So we power it up directly like that. We have an IR unit here, which would sit up on top of the television. And what happens is we use a little sticky pad to leave this stuck here. So we're on a television now that's 50 meters away. We grab the remote control from the original set-top box. We aim it over and we can change channels, okay? Change channels in the far location. So what's happening now is it's sending, this is the cable that's running the HDMI signal from the set-top box, from the modulator coming from the set-top box directly into the television. And now what's happening is the control signal is being picked up through the sensor. It's running back, being sent through this cable all the way back through the modulator. And then how does it get back over to the set-top box? Magically, we have an IR sensor here as well. And this is a different type of IR sensor here. And what we'll do is we'll grab this set-top box and we position this just in front of the IR sensor on the box. And now it has a full path all the way back to the set-top box, so it means you can control it remotely. So it's a good product. I like it. The price point on it's fantastic. You know, when modulators came out originally, modulators here were €500 ago. You know, Edition came into the marketplace, grabbed market share. They were selling, I think, 5,000 modulators every 6 weeks is what they had in the market thing. And for a few years they had it absolutely dominated at €250 ago. Now they're dropped to less than half that with a lot more features, okay? So probably there's only one way that pricing will go over a period of time. Right now on the marketplace, this is as good value and as good in terms of technology as any modulator out there. I really like it. The interface on it's great. It's much better than what went before in terms of the extra features on it, because a lot of people do want to have the IR control on it. So it's just a beautiful piece of technology, easy use, and Edition are the leaders in the modulator space. Virtually every modulator that's in the European market now is a knockoff of the original Edition design, and all of that is designed here in Europe. It's quite different than most of the other stuff which is coming from China, but Edition themselves, just a super company to deal with in terms of product innovation.